We really are honored to have him here. If you haven't heard him speak, if you haven't heard him share or enlighten you, you are in for a definite treat. So let's just put our hands together and let's just work with welcome. Let's just stand on our feet. Let's just stand. To Reverend Cohen and to all of you that are here, first of all, I'm happy and honored to be a part of this, and clearly honored to join Jeff Badia, who preceded me, and then Hazel Dukes, who I saw on the way out. Let me start by saying, as you deal with health care and diversity, one of the things that has been a crippling aspect of dealing with this issue in our community is you get into the politics of healthcare rather than the results of trying to deal with our community. One of the things that I think that this institution and others must not allow people to do is reduce the political infighting with the mission of dealing with the needs of the community. Maybe the reason that we don't have the progress we have is people are trying to be guardians of the ghetto rather than healers of the afflicted. You've got to deal with the fact that the neglect in our community stems from the fact that the resources as well as the advocacy that we need has not been enough. So we don't need to run people out, we need to bring more people in. We celebrate a sense of being unhealthy in our community. We've got to turn that consciousness around. You do not need a slave diet when you become free people. And we need to start openly preaching that. So before you get even to the particulars and the technical aspects of how you serve, you've got to deal with a consciousness that has been perverted and polluted, that people feel culturally health has got something to do with other than us. And we've got to reverse that. We've got to reverse the expectation that it's a black thing to be unhealthy. So we've got to not be afraid to confront this consciousness of unhealthy living, unhealthy diet. Therefore, it goes into other areas. Secondly, the whole consciousness of we are afraid to go to the doctor. And we've got all kind of innovative ways that we justify that. Economic stability in this country generate enough money that every American should have basic health care needs met. Health care in this country is a right, not a privilege. And it is for the good of all that we do that. Just 2 Sundays ago, we were in Washington, where we dedicated the memorial to Martin Luther King. And as I stood there and watched some of the generation that was with Dr. King, marched with him were his confidants, Joseph Lowry and Andrew Young and Jesse Jackson and others, then Martin III and I, who were in the generation after, who grew up under them. I thought about how the health care, in terms of the disparities of black to white, Latino to white, in '68 when King died, is the same today. So we are able to elect a black president, but still can't guarantee a child on 106th Street that they will have a health care, access to health care the same as the child on Madison Avenue and 56th Street. Marching and protest were dramatic ways to raise attention to a problem. People often have said to me, Reverend Al, I don't understand why y'all march, why y'all go to jail. Marching doesn't solve the problem. Marching was not designed to solve the problem. Marching and protesting was designed to expose the problem. But if someone doesn't expose the problem, no one will solve it. Now, I would love to tell you that I learned that at Ivy League school, studying political science, but I didn't. I learned it growing up in Brooklyn, in the Albany Projects. In the Albany Projects, where I grew up, single-parent home, Brenda, we had roaches. Now I know a lot of y'all are upper income, bourgeois, don't know what roaches are. In fact, we had a lot of roaches. And I became a roachologist. I knew how to deal with roaches. One of the things I found out was that roaches operated in a strange way. One night, I went to sneak in the kitchen to get something to eat after everybody was asleep. And I I went in the kitchen, there was roaches everywhere. And I cut on the light, and I saw the roaches started running. I cut the light off, roaches was there. So I went to get my sister to show her that we hadn't got rid of all the roaches, because in them days, you buy the little raid spray can. And you can raid all you want. Roaches, my roaches would look at the raid and laugh. And so when I got my sister, ran in the kitchen, she cut the light on, roaches gone. She said, what do you wake me up for? Go back to bed, cut the light off, I go back, roaches everywhere. So I figured out after 2 or 3 trips that if you cut the light off, you can run roaches. And that's how I learned activism, is by putting a spotlight on political and economic roaches. Because they can't handle spotlight. They will do anything to you in the dark. What you've got to do is put the spotlight on the health disparities and health discrimination that's going on in this city and in this country. Because as long as they keep the light off, you will always have one side of town suffering and the other side of town being well cared for. They've operated in the dark. And in the dark, we're dying. In the dark, we're suffering. In the dark, we're sending children to school malnourished and wondering why they can't learn, because they're hungry and because they have not been properly nourished. So how are you going to focus and concentrate when your body has needs that have not been satisfied when you get up in the morning to head to school? How are you going to have attention span when you have gnawing inside of you? So it impacts education. It impacts every way of life in our community, but we've not put that spotlight on. And the unsaid part of it, which is why I want to be here today with you, Reverend, and the outreach to this, is that there are some in the community that have been part of the arrangement to keep the spotlight off. There are some in the business of keeping the status quo status quo. So as long as they are the custodians of an unhealthy community, just leave it that way. Rather than upsetting the arrangement to make a rearrangement. And that's the task that you have. A new generation of those in the medical field that not only want to get rich or wealthy, but that want to deal with the fact that healthcare ought to be something that does not go by zip code, that does not fit somebody's political model, but that really care about people. At the end of the day, if you have not serviced people, your life has no real meaning.